There's a deer lane over there on the other side of the valley, almost to the top of the hill. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. That's crazy. You know, I'm out here running a Stihl 880. Got the Ranger out here. Couldn't care less. If it was hunting season, no way. So welcome back everyone, Mike here. Not a whole lot going on this evening. I just got home from work a little bit ago. Gets dark in about a half hour, but you know what? Better days are ahead. Somebody reminded me today, I forgot all about it. We turned the clocks this weekend. I just love that time of year. You know, it's still winter, but you know spring's coming. But more importantly than that, I get home from work, you can actually get something done in the evening. You know, you get a good couple hours of daylight, and I just love it. You know, early on in the winter, when it's dark when you leave in the morning, pitch dark when you get home at night, all I want to do is fall asleep on the couch about 7 o'clock in the evening. But come this time of year, I get a bounce in my step, and I seem to get a lot more done, a lot more energetic, and I just really like this time of year. You know, you're kind of making plans for the summer, all the projects you want to do, and we're at that time of year now where things are definitely going to get better, and I can't wait. But anyway, I came out here this evening to this big saw log. If you didn't see the last video, I'll put it up above. I got the biggest section out of the woods over to the yard. And I misspoke the other night. I was thinking that there was 32 feet left, but the overall length was 32 feet. So I'm getting 3 10-footers out of this. So I got 2 more. Well, you know, they're like 10'6", 10'8", something like that. So I got them cut, ready to go. Good news is they're a little bit smaller than the first one. Bad news is they're a little bit further over the hill, but we'll get them out of here. And I just figured I'd get this part done this evening. Then if the weather conditions are right this weekend, I'll bring the RK55 back out and get these other 2 out of the woods. I'm not sure if it's going to be frozen this weekend or not though. It may warm up Friday night or Saturday. I'll have to check. But anyway, they're ready to go when the weather cooperates. But anyway, tonight I just want to tell a little story. I think it's the greatest firewood story ever. I don't know, you may not, but it's pretty cool. If you cut firewood and you enjoy doing it, I think you'll kind of get where I'm coming from on this and why it's a pretty good story. So years ago, actually it was about 8 or 9 years ago, I worked for a heavy highway contractor, and I was a blaster, but I also ran equipment, and I was like a foreman on big jobs and like a superintendent on the smaller jobs. But mostly my role with that company was as a blaster. You know, I blew things up for a living. And for years, I mean, I traveled all over the place, all over the East, up to New Hampshire, down to Tennessee, Kentucky, the Kentucky Speedway. I don't know if you're familiar with that, in Covington, Kentucky. I worked for a different company at the time, but I did all the blasting on that project. It was a huge job. But I've been all over the place, and you know, Melissa's home with the kids, and they're little, and it was pretty rough. Having Hunter, our oldest son, with autism, I'm always traveling, working 70, 80 hours a week, and things are a lot better now and a lot different. But anyway, I was doing all that traveling, and one of my last jobs that I worked on before I started in the oil and gas industry was literally 3 miles from my house. That's all the further it was. I'd never worked that close to home, and it was a wonderful, beautiful job. This was a 100-acre site, and the project was for a local developer. They build, you know, commercial buildings and warehouses and things like that. But this entire property was all wooded property, similar to what our woods is here, maybe even a little bit better. But there's a good mix of oak and cherry and maple, and it's just beautiful woods. And the contractor that I worked for at the time, they couldn't have cared less about trees. You know, they got paid to move dirt. Now, we had to do all the clearing ourselves as well. And, you know, I was trying to convince them, hey, you need to sell some of these saw logs and stuff. And they're like, we move dirt. You know, it's just go, go, go. But they did sell, I mean, lots and lots of loads of logs for really next to nothing. Somebody really made out on those logs. But we did all the clearing and the chipping on that. But one of the little bonuses to working there was every day after work, he'd cut a load of firewood. And the superintendent on that job, I kind of want to protect his identity, so we'll just say Howard's name was Hank. Anyway, Hank, every day Hank would have somebody cut him a load of firewood, have the laborers cut him a load of firewood, load it up for him, and every night he'd take it home. And I mean, he had mountains of firewood. So the rest of us, we start cutting wood. You know, we're off the clock, and we'd cut a load of wood every night and bring home. And, you know, I sell a lot of firewood, so that's just extra money. You know, it was a huge year for firewood. So this went on for, I don't know, maybe a month or two, something like that. And maybe not that long, but we're clearing 100 acres of trees. I mean, think of that. Every single tree has to come down. We're going to move all that dirt. And they're hauling log truckloads of log up, but there's just so much wood there. It's just unbelievable. For the firewood cutter, it's like you died and went to heaven. It's that kind of place, you know? Wood everywhere, and you've got equipment, big excavators with grapples and loaders, and just made life so much easier. So things are going really well. Everybody's happy. We're all getting firewood after work, you know? It's going great. But it was coming up on Labor Day weekend, and myself and probably 20 other guys at work, we're planning on this big push over Labor Day weekend because we're getting to the end of all the trees. They're all going to be gone, and so we're going to get all we can, right? And so it was the Thursday before Labor Day weekend, and I get a call from Hank, and Hank's like, hey, he's like, we can't cut any wood. You guys can't cut any wood this weekend. And I had known, it kind of bothered Hank a little bit that the rest of us were cutting firewood as well. And even though Hank didn't, you know, he didn't have to cut his own firewood, he's just that kind of guy. I mean, I got along with him, don't get me wrong, but it's just those kind of guy that really didn't like good things happening to people for some reason. I have no idea why. But anyway, Hank says, we can't cut firewood there anymore. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, I was just in a meeting there, and he goes, the owners of the property, they said they don't want anyone cutting firewood in there anymore. And I was like, man, that stinks, you know what I mean? He's like, so tell everybody, nobody goes in there this weekend. I'm like, all right. So I get on the phone and I'm calling everyone, got to break the bad news to them, you know, hey, no firewood cutting. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, Hank says no. You know, the owners don't want us there cutting wood over the weekend. And so everyone was pretty bummed out, right? So this was on a Thursday. So Friday morning, right, I'm in a different job, and I had to talk to our vice president about something at the company, and I call him, and we're talking. I'm like, man, that really stinks. We can't cut wood this weekend. He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, Hank, he says that, you know, the owners of the property don't want anyone up there this weekend. He's like, he's full of it. And I go, well, what's going on? He goes, I was sitting in that same meeting, and all they said was they wanted a gate put up, so just people off the street, you know, for liability reasons, weren't going in there, but to put our company lock on it, and we were welcome to cut all the wood we want. So Hank was trying to pull a fast one on us, you know. I'm like, that son of a gun, you know, he's trying to, you know, cut us out of the action there. So I thought, all right, it's on right now. So I am back on the phone, you know. I'm calling everybody at work, the mechanics in the shop, I'm calling them all. And I'm like, we're back on. And you kind of got to explain the whole situation, you know. So the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, I mean, I'm in there at daylight, right? And I got a truck, and like I said, it was 3 miles from home. And I pull in there, a few guys already beat me there, and all these guys from work are coming. They got every type of chainsaw, every type of truck, trailer, dump trucks, you know, all this stuff, and we are cutting wood. I mean, there's chips flying. And like I said, we got big excavators there with grapples and thumbs, and people are holding them over their dump trailers, and they're cutting. And Hank had no idea we were even in there. You know, Hank's home just admiring his wood pile that somebody else had cut for him. And we're just laughing, you know. So we cut Saturday, Sunday, and Monday on Labor Day. And I don't know, I got like 25 truckloads of firewood out of there, something crazy. Couldn't move for like a week. I was so sore, but it was worth it, you know what I mean? So anyway, we cut all this wood. There must have been 20 of us, you know, and we got a lot of firewood out of there in one weekend. And so I was just waiting for Tuesday morning when old Hank shows up in the job, because it was very apparent that there was a lot of people in there cutting wood, right? I mean, there's stuff everywhere. You know, we got a equipment scattered all over the place. There's just wood chips all over the property. And so I'm on a different job, right? Well, Hank got there early, and it's probably 6:30 in the morning. He calls me and he's like, "Were you in there cutting wood this weekend?" I said, "Oh yeah, me and like 20 other people. We got a crap ton of wood out of there. Why?" And he says, "I told you weren't allowed in there." And I'm like, "Yeah, you weren't completely honest with me, Hank." I said, "I got from good authority that we were allowed to cut wood in there, so we took advantage of it." And he kind of changed his tune because he knew at that point, I knew what he was trying to pull on us. And he's like, "Well, that's not the way I heard it, whatever, And it all kind of died down right there. But that is without a doubt my favorite firewood cutting story. I don't know why I enjoy cutting firewood as much as I do. For a while there, I thought I was kind of the only one until I started this channel, and I realized there's a lot of people out there just like me. But I've mentioned in several videos before, when we first got married, I cut and sold firewood to pay for a lot of Christmases, help pay bills, things like that. And I'm very fortunate and very blessed now that I don't have to do that, but I love cutting firewood. I still do today, and I will as long as I am physically able to do so. When you think about it, we're only a few generations from being like hunters and gatherers where you had to cut wood to survive. And I think that's still in a lot of us. I don't know, but I really enjoy it. But anyway, that was my greatest firewood story. Old Hank wasn't real happy in the end, but about 20 other people were thrilled, and it was by far the biggest firewood score I ever had. Like I said, one weekend, probably 25 loads of wood I got to the house. It was a really good year for firewood. But anyway, I think that's about it. Oh, one more thing I want to mention. I keep forgetting to do this. At the end of each video, you'll see I have a thing there. It says, "Have a day." Not "have a nice day" or "have a good day," just "have a day." So a lot of people have been questioning that, why I do that. And they've actually sent messages and emails, and they're just wondering, and it's been in the comments. Well, I'll tell you the backstory on that. Daughter Eva, our youngest, she's always smiling. Kid's always been happy ever since she was wee little. And when she was real little, like you'd be going to work or something, and she'd just be smiling from ear to ear, and she'd always say, "Have a day." And that's all she would say. She didn't really get the whole "have a nice day" or anything like that. So it's just one of those things in our family that kind of stuck. And so, when someone's leaving, we just say, "Have a day." So that's why I added that to the end of the video. But anyway, like I always say, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button, click subscribe, and share them with your friends. Thanks.